Hi guys, Bethany here. So today I'm going to be attempting paper quilling. In my May subscription box from Easywhim was this paper quilling. I have never done paper quilling before, so I really hope I can figure this out so I can make this video for you guys. I know there's a lot of people out there who were really wanting some instructions for this project, so I'm going to attempt it. I've done some research on paper quilling. I think I'm going to be able to figure it out. So in front of me is the tools. I have a little picture here of what the project's supposed to look like as my guide. Scissors, quilling pin, tweezers, this ruler, and floral wire. The quilling paper that came in my kit was a little bit wrinkly, not very great, so it doesn't stay together very easily. So, and it came in 3 sections. So this first section that is together is the thickest one, and it is yellow and green. The next section of paper, I'm going to call the medium size, is, see how it's all crinkled up? I'm not very thrilled about that, but that's okay. I think it won't make too much difference, hopefully. I did order some extra quilling paper. That's going to come in the mail just in case I mess up, but hopefully I won't. So in this medium one, we have blues, a light blue and a dark blue, and a light green and a dark green. And in the small one has a dark blue, dark yellow, light blue, and a light yellow. So there's a few different things that we're going to need to do on this project. We're going to need to make the pot, and we're going to need to make the flowers. We're going to have to find a way to stick the flowers in there. Got to do this nice little bow, get some leaves going on in there. The first part that we're going to work on is going to be the pot. And basically there's 3 sections to the pot. There's the main part, the base, and then the ribbon. So we're going to start with the main part. Now, I don't know how many of these the pattern actually calls for, but we are going to use the medium-sized paper strips, light blue and dark blue. We have 3 dark blues and 20 of the light blues. So to start off, you're going to grab one of your light blue paper strips. You're going to take it by the end. The quilling tool has this slot in it. Stick the paper into that slot as close to the end as possible without too much going through, and turn it either towards you or away from you. It doesn't matter which direction as long as you do it the same way, and you're just going to spin it, and you're going to spin it and spin it and spin it. If you put your thumb here, I think it helps. Before you get to the end of the roll, what you're going to want to do is take the next strip, hold this tight, don't let it unwind. Take the next strip and the end, insert it into the inside of the coil. Of course I dropped it. Insert it into the inside of the coil and continue to spin and wrap the paper, and that end will come around, and as it comes around, take another paper, insert it in there, and continue to wrap while holding this tight so that it doesn't unravel. And spin. I'm going to spin up some more of these. I'm going to continue doing this till I get to the end of my light blue, and then I will be right back. Hey, I'm not to the end of my 20 blue papers yet, but I did want to make an interjection, and that is that after a certain point, this is going to be too large and awkward to spin with your tool. So carefully pull it out, and then just continue to spin this way. And just keep on spinning. All right, I'm at the end of my blue strips. Like I said, I used 20. I don't know the exact number that you're supposed to use, but that's what I chose. And now for the last bits, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch colors from the light blue to the dark blue. And all I need to do for that is do just what I've been doing when I add a light blue strip. So I do that, but I just add the dark blue strip in there. And I stick that in there, and I continue to turn. I like to hold my fingers on both sides of this. That helps keep it nice and even. I am going to go with, I'm going to go with 4 strips. I don't remember if I said 3 or 4. I'm going to do 4. All right, once you get to the last little bit, you're going to glue that down. Come on, glue. I am just using this tacky glue. This row is not quite as tight as I would like it to be. Okay, so it should look something like this. I sit it on my table to kind of flatten it, make sure it's flat. So now we have to turn this into a pot. How on earth are we going to do that? Okay, pick a side, which is going to be your outside. I don't think it matters, but you might want to pick the prettier to be the outside. And you shape it into a pot. So just kind of press on the inside with your thumbs and kind of slowly pull some of the papers apart. Try to keep the bottom part of it kind of flat. You want to be able to have a nice shaped pot. If you don't leave enough space at the bottom to be flat, then it's going to be a taller pot. If you want it a shorter, wider pot, then leave less space. So work with that until you get it how you like it to be. And when you're pulling these, make sure you don't pull the papers further than you don't want to pull them apart too much, because then it will come apart, I think. That's my guess. But get it to where you like. I think that looks pretty good to me. It measures at about 4 inches. Mine's a little short of 4 inches. Now, for the next part, you're going to want to kind of seal it. So you're going to put the glue in here and spread it around. I'm going to use a plastic glove for that. I gotta go get it, so hold on. You don't have to use a plastic glove for this part. You could use like a little brush, or maybe a Q-tip would work pretty well. But for me, I think the glove is gonna be my best bet. So just kind of swirl the glue around in there and then spread it around. Obviously don't press too hard, because then you'll change the shape of your pot. But since this is the main part, we want this to be sturdy, so we want to make sure that it's sealed pretty well. All right. Next, we are going to work on the base of the pot. So for that, we have 3 strips of the medium-sized dark blue paper, and I'm using 14 strips of the medium-sized light blue paper. So we're going to do this exactly like we did with the base of the pot. Gonna put the paper into the quill pen and turn it. And before it gets to the end, We're gonna add the next strip of blue. And we're going to continue to do that until we have used up all of the light blue strips of paper. Now, just like before, when you get to a point where it's difficult to use the pen, go ahead and take that out carefully and kind of straighten everything out and continue to roll until you get to the end of that last light blue paper. Take your dark blue, roll it up in there like you've been doing with the other papers. All right, after you get to the end, we are gonna glue that. Glue the end. Goodness. This does take a little bit of getting used to. Okay. I'm going to press that flat against the table. Decide what side you want for the bottom and which side you want for the top. The side that you want facing up, go ahead and cover it with glue. Spread the glue out. I am going to use the glove again. I'm just going to spread that on the top. That's going to help bring a nice seal to that. Okay, now I am going to put another bit of glue there, and I am going to stick this on top and push it down. I'm going to kind of turn it a little bit so I guess glue on all of it. And there's the pot. The next part will be to make the bow. All right, so to make the bow, you can choose between, well, you can make it any color you want, but I suggest choosing between the medium size of the light and the dark blue. It looks like in the picture here they use the darker blue. I'm going to go ahead and go with the lighter blue. I'm a rebel like that. And let's go ahead and measure this. I think 10 inches. 10 inches seems like a good size. Okay. So to fold this ribbon, what you want to do is kind of fold it in half so that you're working with an even space. Twist one of the sides around, and your ribbon will look like that. It's hard to show you with my finger in the way, but it'll look like that. You want to make sure you have enough room for the bow. So I'm thinking maybe about an inch on the bottom there. Take your glue in between those so that it sticks. Take this part and twist it around and down. That's how you'll make your bow. So before I twist that around and down, I'm going to go ahead and place a little bit of glue here and twist. Make sure that your bow's sides are fairly even. Press that down. While you're holding that for it to dry, you can either leave these straight, or you can cut them at a diagonal. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little V. I'm going to try. Okay, come on, scissors. I'm going to cut a little V. That's what it looks like they did in the picture. You can do that on both sides. Okay, now that that is dried, now the kit came with these pearl stickers, and I'm going to put one right in the middle there. And then we're going to glue this onto the pot. Like that. And our pot's finished. Now to make the flowers. All right, it's time to work on the flowers. So we'll start with the petals, and for this we will need all the tools: scissors, tweezers, quill pen, ruler, glue. For each petal, or each flower has 5 petals, and for each of those petals you will need 2 of the thin yellow strips and part of a small blue strip. So first we need to take the yellow, we need to put it in our quill pen and wind it up. It does not matter which direction you turn it, so long as you turn it. And it definitely helps to push the end against your finger while you're turning it and kind of hold it on the bottom side while you're turning it so that it keeps it tight. And with it pressed against your finger, it helps it stay even. So now we're going to take this and we're going to put it in the number 13. So on the ruler, oops, this is upside down. On the ruler, it has these different circles and it says numbers on it. And I'm picking the one that says 13. 15, 14, 13. Stick it in there. Make sure it's flat against the table or whatever your work surface is, and let it unwind. You got to be careful because it might kind of try to pop out of there. So, use your finger to keep it pressed down. Now, here is where the end of the strip is. I'm going to grab it with the tweezers on the opposite end. I'm going to stick the tweezers down the middle hole and on the outside. And then I'm going to pinch it so that this end is at the very bottom of where I'm pinching, or close to it. I feel like that might have been, well, we'll see. So then, keep it held tightly. Take your glue and glue this down. Don't be afraid to kind of use your glue to spread on the rest of it too. Okay, so for the first petal, we need to make 2 of those. All right, this is going to take a lot of practice, I can already tell, but I have a lot of petals to make, so I'm gonna get practice. So the next step you're gonna do is you're going to glue these together once you have 2 and kind of press them. It'll be making kind of like a heart shape. Just put your glue on one side, take the other side, press it, pinch it at the bottom, kind of press the glue that comes out, just kind of press it in. All right, now we are going to wrap that in the blue. So take the end of your blue, put the glue on it for quite a bit because you're gonna want glue on most of the part that you're wrapping. Start at the tip the bottom of the heart. Whew, this is hard enough to do on its own, let alone on camera. Making sure I'm in the camera. So I apologize if I go off screen. But I am doing the best that I can. So the tip, make sure that's kind of pressed in. You're going to wrap it around twice. I'm not sure if I'm using enough glue on this, to be honest. I'm not sure if if you need it. I'm not sure if it's not enough. So play around with it, see what works best. I think by the end of the project, I will know, because either it'll come out or it won't. Okay, so there is the first petal. Now for the first flower, we need to make 5 more of those. So I'm gonna go do that right now. I finished making the 60 half petals. So now I need to put them all together. I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I've put together so far. So for these 60 half petals, you are going to need 60 strips of paper. There was not that many strips of the yellow paper in the kit. So I was really happy that I had bought extra. So if you're going to be doing this kit, I recommend either buying extra quilling paper, and you can use whatever color you want for the flowers. I recommend either buying extra quilling paper or cutting the strips in half, unless you got 60 pieces in your kit. I didn't. When I tried cutting one of them in half to see if it would work. I don't think that it is going to produce the best final result for the project, but it'll come down to personal preference, really. I think that the flowers will be sturdier if you use the whole strip. So now I'm gonna go put these half petals together and wrap them up in blue quilling paper, and then we'll move on to the next step. I have all 30 of my petals. Now it's time to start putting them together. So we will need a base. I'm going to take a strip of the large green paper. I'm going to cut that into 5 squares, 1 for each flower. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the edges, the corners off, and make this into a circle. I'm gonna do that for all of them. And once I have my base, oh, that's driving me nuts. It's not a very good circle. It doesn't really matter too much because it's going to be underneath the flower where you can't see it. It's going to end up being covered up by the stem and everything, but you know, spending so much time on this project, you want it to look nice as possible, I suppose. You could use a hole punch if you have a big one. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up putting glue on here and then setting the petals, arranging the petals over the top. I want to kind of make sure I know which petals I'm putting where before I begin that. So just put the glue on there, spread it around, and then put the petals on. Make sure you leave enough room for all of them. And do this for all of your petals. Another way to do this, if it's easier for you, I kind of experimented a little bit, and I think it's a little bit easier way for me, is to go ahead and instead of putting the petals on top of the green base, put the green base on top of the petals. So arrange the flower how you're going to want to have it, and then put the glue on the green, and then place that on top of your petals. And they're going to kind of move around a little bit, so just, you know, make sure it gets there how you want it. Hold it down a few seconds. There you go. Let's do the center of the flowers now. So flip your flower over. The picture shows one light yellow, more of a cream color strip, and a light blue. I don't have enough of these to do these colors on every flower, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit, but for this one I'm going to do it this way. We're going to get our quilling pin, take the color that you're using for the inside, and turn it up. When it gets towards the end, you're going to add the color that you want for the outside. You do that just like we did with the others. Stick that in there and roll it up. When you get to the end, you're going to want to glue it. After you have that glued down securely, kind of flatten it out a little bit. That looks cool. Okay, decide which side you want for the outside and which side you want for the inside. And the side that you want for the inside, you're going to push in just a little bit, like you did with the pot, but just a little bit. Make a little bit of a bump. Now we are going to glue the inside of that like we did with the pot. I mean, basically it's a miniature one of those. Whoops, that was a lot of glue. Okay, try not to use that much glue. Oh, I might have been off camera so you didn't see it anyways. Yay! And then you're gonna want to kind of take the glue and just rub it around on the rim. And then stick it on the flower. And that glue on the inside will secure it and kind of seal it like we did on the pot. I don't know if you can tell, but it's actually quite smooth and shiny. All right, so do that for all the rest of them. It is time to start making the stem, and for that you're going to take your floral wire. What I did was I cut it in half, and then I cut each half in half and then half again. So your stems don't need to be even because it'll kind of be nice if the flowers are scattered throughout the little pot unevenly. So you just need to decide how tall you want them. Mine are between 7 and 9 inches, varied. So cut up your pieces of floral wire. Then you are going to get out a strip of the medium size light green. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to make the part that goes at the base of the flower and into the stem. So turn it up, twirl it up, twist it up, all of those lovely things. Get to the end, glue it, Well, I'm making a mess of that, aren't I? Okay. Then, this is going to be a little bit trickier because there's not so much room, but just like you did with the top of the flower, you're going to press on it to make it pop out. If you want to use your quilling pin or the other side of it, go ahead and do that. If you push too hard, you can always start over. Just press it together. So I actually find that that works pretty good. So you want to make one of those for each of the flowers. Then you're going to want to take the wire and bend the end around if you do this, it will give, by the way, if you have some wire cutters, some pliers, it will be easier. So if you bend it, it's going to stay in place a little bit more. So what you're going to want, the next step is to glue the inside of this part. And this is going to go inside. And so you're just going to kind of poke it in there till it comes through. And see, this is where having that is going to be handy because it's going to keep it from just sliding through. So now take another piece of the light green and you're going to wrap it around the stem. So kind of angle this so that when you start wrapping it around, it will wrap around the whole thing easier. Trying to stay on camera here, it's a little tricky. Just continue to wrap it around. This is really tricky, especially to do it on camera. Like I want to pull it really close to me while I'm doing it. So I apologize, guys. I know that this is not the clearest view. Now if you get it kind of uneven, you can just unwrap it and start again, or you can just kind of press it down. This is going to be covered in leaves, so it's not going to matter too much. Oh, how did that part get all like that? Wasn't like that before. My fingers are covered in glue. Okay, for some reason this top part is kind of unrolling. Hold on, I'm gonna go back and fix that. All right, so when you get to the end, just cut off the extra paper and glue it. This part's gonna be down at the bottom of the pot, so it doesn't matter too much what it looks like, I think. So there we go. Now I'm going to put some more glue, especially around the top here. Take a flower, and glue it on. Now, this actually is pretty sturdy, which surprises me because it seems like it wouldn't be, but I'm just going to add a little bit more glue up around here because I don't know. I feel like it needs it. Use my tweezers to spread that around a little bit. We're making progress, guys. So do that on all the flowers, and then we'll move on to the next step. After you have all the stems on your flowers, it is time to make the leaves. So take a strip of dark green, the wider one, and we are going to cut it in the length that we want for the leaves. They don't have to be the same size. We're going to have about 4 leaves for each flower. The length of the leaves that I have cut are about 3 inches. So then what you're going to want to do is for each of those, fold them in half lengthwise and flatten the, crease it really tight, because that's going to make the line down the middle of the leaf. Take your scissors and round it out. Round out the ends. Open it up and there's your leaf. Kind of use your nail to curl it a little bit, and then you're going to take a flower and you're going to glue it to the stem. And there are different ways you could do it. You can fold it over like that. You can just fold it like that. So however you want it to look. You can kind of vary each one if you want. The extra little bits that you cut off, go ahead and save those because we're going to sprinkle those on the top after we stick all the flowers in there, so it'll be kind of like green grass. I put a few, well, the rest of one of them on the flower so you guys can see what I did. And if you're cutting and you don't quite like the look of one of your leaves, just trim it up. No problem. Yeah, that's better. So just finish up putting the leaves on your flowers. So it will look something like this. That glue should dry clear. So you'll need 24 leaves. Put them on the flowers, the stems of the flowers, and then we'll move on to the next step. All the flowers are ready to go into the pot, but here's one thing that I noticed about my kit. I still have all of this floral wire, and the other really interesting thing is I have 6 sheets, 6 or 7, 1, 2, 3, 6. I have 6 sheets of this wider yellow that I haven't even used yet. So I'm going to make a few other types of flowers for my bouquet. I am going to attempt to make a marigold type of flower with these yellow strips. So to do that, basically you're just going to cut a bunch of lines. That one was a little bit too far, so don't do that. Going to cut a bunch of little lines, maybe more towards like the 3/4 mark. And then we're going to roll this up. So cut your lines all the way down the strip. Now we are going to put this into our quill pen, put the uncut side into the inside. And you can do this either way. You can roll it either direction, just as long as it gets rolled and the flat side goes in. We're going to roll it. Like I said, this one's going to be a little bit harder than the other ones we've done, but I think we can do it. It's okay to press on this a little bit because we're going to end up pressing it out anyways. Just don't press too hard because you don't want to completely squish it. Man, this is tricky. I think I'm going to use my hands. I wanted to mention an idea I had while I was here cutting all these strips of paper, because it does take quite a while. The idea is simply this: fold your paper either in half or fourths or whatever is most comfortable for you, and also in regards to what your scissors can handle, and cut in layers. When you cut in the layers, it'll be a lot faster and a lot less cutting. If you like to take your time and do it cut by cut on a single layer, that's totally fine. There is nothing wrong with that at all. And if you want to go a little bit faster, I think that's the way to do it. If you do a fold and cut, when you get towards the end, you will have to, and open it up, you will have to go to the places where the folds were and make sure that those sections are cut, because where it's folded, there's going to be spaces that were not most likely there was going to be spaces that are not cut all the way. Like one of them on this one is totally fine. So that's a little tip for you when doing this. Another thing is you can make different looking flowers if you vary the distance between your cuts. So I'm going to try a few where my cuts are not quite so close together. We're going to see what that looks like. So for the thicker cut one, I'm gonna roll that up and see what it looks like. Remember to start on the straighter side. So if you cut too far down and it rips, that you just glue it. I'm going to show you an example because that just happened again. You'd think I would learn. So I'm going to glue that down, that part down. Then I'm going to add a little bit more glue. Take the part that ripped. It actually ripped twice because I was trying to pull it, and then I tried to catch it and it ripped. So basically, if you have part that rips off, just glue it on. Just glue it back on and keep wrapping. It's a little looser than I would like, but this is all an experiment anyways. I think I would like to try a few different things. It's one of the fun things about crafting, right? Is you get to experiment. Other things you can do to vary this up is cutting at an angle, varying the width of the cuts like I just got done talking about. if you do them at kind of an angle, it's going to make the petals look completely different than if you do it straight. Well, maybe not completely different, but I imagine that it will make it look different. What I'm going to try now is I'm actually going to do another experiment. I'm going to combine a plain roll, and I'm going to insert one of the wider cut strips. See if we can't get that to work. Might have to use glue, but I think I can do it without it. And then once that's all rolled up, I'm going to glue the end like I did with all the other ones. I'm going to make the stems and leaves. Not the stems and leaves. I'm going to make the stem, or do the leaves at the end. I have a different kind of an idea for how I want these leaves to be. I think I really liked the way that the other ones turned out. I want to experiment with some other ideas. I think I'm gonna do more of a straight, longer leaf. This is not rolled very tight, but part of that is because it's difficult to pull on it while wrapping it to keep it tight, because then it has a tendency to rip. So I think with practice that gets easier. I'm going to finish these up now. After you have the rest of the flowers rolled up and the stems rolled up, we are going to spread some glue around on the bottom of each of these just to give them a little bit more stability. After we do that, we are going to glue the stems to the bottom of these. And then we're going to make the leaves. For the leaves, there are so many different things that you can do. So experiment, have fun with it. You can make shorter leaves, longer leaves, smooth leaves, frilly leaves, pretty much any kind of leaf that you want. Whoa. That didn't work very good. Okay. Be really careful with these until the glue dries, because they just might jump all over. I mean, mine are kind of being persnickety. When you are gluing these on, be generous with the glue because it will dry clear, and it's nice to have those on there really sturdy, especially for this next step, which is spreading out the top. Let's see what our flowers look like. So it helps if you kind of hold the stem like this and hold it like this and press down, because otherwise it's going to kind of flop off. So spread out the leaves. I think that looks super cute. If you have any of the petals that are a little bit extra or out of place, you can always just trim those up real easily like that. Also, if you just do one individual pull at a time, you're going to have a fuller effect. So I'm going to go work on that. It's going to take me a while to spread those out exactly how I want. If you had cut these down lower, it would be a little bit easier to spread out, but it's so difficult to twist them up even with them cut to there. So I'm not sure how you would do that, because man, oh man, I was having the paper tear and break as it was, so I can't even imagine. So yeah, just work on spreading those little flowers out how you like, cut in spots that you want. I think that even though this looks a little funny, I think that once they're all in the bouquet and in a group, I think they're gonna look pretty good. So some of the thicker cuts that I made, they're a little bit trickier to fold down, and I think doing them one step at a time, one petal at a time, is going to be the way to go. I think it's gonna take some patience, some playing around with, to get it how I want. So I'm gonna go work on that. I'm also gonna work on these leaves, which I started to do. I cut my strips for the leaves between 4 and 5 inches because I want them to be a little bit longer for these. I might end up doing some even a little bit longer. And what you'll do is you're not going to fold it or anything. You're just going to leave it like this, and you're going to cut the ends into kind of like a picket fence type shape. So just kind of cut a point. You can also do just a half strip. You can also do just a rounded half. I think that'll look really nice too. No matter how you end up deciding to do it, you can always go back and play with it and change things if you don't like how it turns out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my nail and I'm just going to kind of like a curling ribbon, put a little bit of pressure on there so that it curls over. So then what I'm going to do is on each of these, I'm going to glue two like that. But for now, I'm going to go get these how I want them. I'm going to finish cutting my leaves so I have exactly enough for the rest of the flowers. And then I'm going to come back and glue some leaves on with you guys. All right. Let's glue on some leaves. This is going to be just very simple and basic. One on one side and another on the other. Because of how I'm doing it, probably if we have them on the opposite side, then it might be able to help seal them. Just like that. This is a good time if you have any spots on your stems that you don't like the look of. It's a good time, good chance to cover them up. Now I kind of like rounding the bottom, smushing the bottom around the stem. I'm kind of thinking ahead to when we do our flower arranging. You know, we're gonna have all of these flowers together, and if you have some rounded stems at the bottom, it'll kind of help them group together better, I think. Yeah, so finish putting the leaves on the rest of the flowers. We are reaching the end, you guys. So I have the leaves on all of the flowers. We have all of the flowers. Have those extra little green bits that I saved from the leaves that we're gonna sprinkle on top of here when we're done. So we need to arrange our flowers and we need to put them in to the pot. So I have a tissue here. I'm wondering, I'm gonna rip this in half. That's what I'm gonna do. Take this tissue, rip it in half. I'm hoping to use it. Yeah, half a tissue works pretty well. I'm hoping to kind of use it as the base. You could also use a piece of foam or, I don't know, other pieces of paper, whatever you like. But I'm going to use the tissue. That pot is so cute. I'm using a half tissue. And now I'm going to pick the flowers I want and arrange them. I'm not going to just throw them all in there because, you know, I want it to look good. I have a couple of arrangements here. We're going to make another pot for this other one, the smaller one. Remember keep in mind when you are arranging your flowers that they're on wire, so you can kind of bend the bottoms or the sides so that they'll reach out how you want. I'm going to secure these together with another piece of wire. I am just going to wrap it around a few times. just so that those will stay where I want them to stay. Now, I got to see if they're gonna fit. Oh, that's gonna look so cute. Okay. So now we got to get that to stick in there. So I think we're going to be using a lot of glue. I'm just going to take this and squeeze a bunch in there at the bottom and hope that that will work. Now I know one tissue is too much, but now that I'm trying to get this secure in here, I'm starting to think that maybe we do need more tissue. Let's see if we can't shove it in there so that it's really firm. Yep, that worked, guys. Okay, so I would say put half of a tissue in, clear out a little divot at the bottom of it, or a little space for the rest of your flowers, for your flowers, and then put the flowers in, and then put the other half. And if it's nice and tight, the flowers are gonna stay. And that looks really cute. So then sprinkle the little bits of leaf excess that we had. Sprinkle that on the top in there. There you have it. If you guys have any suggestions or comments or things to say about this paper quilling, let me know. If you found this video helpful for figuring out how to do this project, consider liking this video, consider subscribing to my channel if you'd like to see more. And I'm not sure if I'll be doing any more paper quilling or not. I might. It was a fun experience. It was a learning experience for sure. Hopefully one of these times Easywhim will actually leave the instructions. That would be really great. Even like a link to an online PDF or something. That'd be very helpful. I probably will go through and add a little bit more, cut up a little bit more little pieces of green to put on there. But there it is, guys. What do you think? Some of those fell out. Okay, fixed it. I like it. I like it a lot. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye.